I never thought I'd be the kind of woman who'd keep secrets from her husband. But it didn't happen all at once. It happened in quiet, invisible ways. Little gaps, little excuses. 1,000 tiny justifications that slowly eroded what used to be love. Alex and I had been together for nearly 10 years, married for 8. We'd met in college. Him, the kind, grounded guy who helped me study for exams. Me, the restless girl who always dreamed too big. Our early years together were beautiful. Road trips, staying up until sunrise talking about nothing, feeling like the world existed only for us. But time changes people. And I think in some ways we let that happen without realizing it. When Alex got promoted at work, everything shifted. He started traveling. Short business trips at first, then longer ones. I told myself I was proud of him, that the distance was just temporary. But each time he left, the house felt a little emptier. At first, I'd keep busy, calling friends, watching shows, doing anything to fill the silence. But then the loneliness crept in. Not the kind that comes from being alone, but the kind that comes from being unseen. He'd text me goodnight, send the occasional love you, but something about those words started feeling mechanical. I wanted connection. I wanted someone to listen when I talked. Someone who'd ask questions that meant something. It started one night in the simplest way. I couldn't sleep. I was scrolling on my phone when I saw an ad for an anonymous chat app. It wasn't a dating site, not really. Just a place where people could talk about life, vent, share stories. I downloaded it without thinking much. That's where I met Evan. It was a random match. Or maybe fate, I don't know. He said he was a freelance writer who worked odd hours. He asked me what I was doing awake at 2 a.m., and for some reason, I told him the truth. That I was just lonely. His reply was simple. I get that. That's all it took. A simple understanding. And just like that, a door opened. We talked for hours that night. About books, music, work, the weirdness of life. He was funny, articulate, thoughtful in ways Alex hadn't been in years. He seemed to remember everything I said. Details about my favorite songs, about how I liked my coffee, even about the dog we'd lost 2 years ago. It felt harmless at first. Just talking. Just friendship. But soon those chats became my oxygen. I'd wake up thinking about him. I'd stay up late waiting for his messages. When Alex called from his hotel, I'd answer with that distracted tone, already thinking about how soon I could hang up and go back to Evan. It's pathetic now, looking back, how quickly I slipped into it. It wasn't physical, so I told myself it wasn't real cheating. But deep down, I knew I was building something I couldn't explain, something built entirely on lies. When Alex got home from trips, I started hiding my phone. I'd delete conversations, turn off notifications, even install a second messaging app disguised as a calendar. It was thrilling in a twisted way, like I was living a secret life no one knew about. I began dressing differently, wearing perfume again, taking care of myself like I hadn't in years. Alex thought maybe I was doing it for him, that I was rekindling something between us. I let him believe that. The guilt would flare up, but the high from those late-night talks would drown it out. Evan made me feel alive. He listened. He laughed at my jokes. He said things like, I wish I could hold you right now. And even though I knew how wrong it was, I didn't stop him. I told myself I needed it. That after years of being the steady, loyal wife, I deserved to feel wanted again. Weeks turned into months. My entire routine revolved around keeping the illusion alive, making sure Alex never suspected. I'd leave my phone on silent when he was home, pretending to watch movies while secretly texting Evan under a blanket. It became exhausting, juggling both lives, both versions of myself. The woman I used to be was fading. Then one night, it all came crashing down. Alex came home early from a trip. I didn't even hear him walk in. I was sitting on the couch, phone in hand, grinning at something Evan had said. When Alex called my name, I jumped like I'd seen a ghost. He looked tired, serious, but not angry. Just sad. "Who's Evan?" he asked. My heart dropped. I froze. The sound of that name coming from his mouth felt like my entire world collapsing. I tried to play dumb, to say it was just someone from a forum, a random chat. But then he pulled out his phone. "I've been reading the messages," he said quietly. For a moment, I couldn't even breathe. "How?" "I know about the app," he said. "And I know everything you've said." I felt my stomach twist into knots. Every lie, every late-night message, every confession. All of it flashed before me like a montage of guilt. But then he said something that shattered me completely. "I know everything," he said, "because I'm Evan." The room fell silent. I stared at him, trying to process what he'd just said. He looked at me with tears in his eyes. And I realized he wasn't lying. It was him, all along. He'd created the account months ago. He told me he'd started suspecting something when I became distant, when I started hiding my phone. He didn't want to accuse me without proof, so he set a trap. He used a fake photo, fake job, fake name, and I'd fallen for it completely. I had poured my heart out to a stranger, not realizing that stranger was my own husband. He'd read every message, every complaint about how I felt unloved, every flirtation, every word that should have been for him. He said, "I wanted to see if the woman I married was still in there somewhere." But all I saw was someone I don't recognize anymore. I tried to explain that I didn't mean to hurt him, that it was loneliness, that I just wanted attention. But the damage was already done. He said he didn't hate me. He just couldn't look at me the same way. That night, he packed a bag. He didn't yell, didn't slam doors. He just left quietly. And I sat there for hours reading our old messages. Messages that had once made me feel alive now made me feel sick. Everything I'd said to Evan, the things I'd wished Alex would say to me, he had said to me. I just hadn't realized it was him. The irony cut deeper than any betrayal could. In the days that followed, I tried to reach out. I called, I texted, I wrote emails apologizing over and over. He read them but never replied. His silence was the loudest punishment imaginable. Our mutual friends didn't know the details, but they knew something had happened. I told them we were taking a break. What I didn't tell them was that the break was entirely my fault. I started therapy, partly out of guilt, partly because I didn't know who I was anymore. My therapist said something that stuck with me. You didn't cheat because you wanted someone new. You cheated because you stopped being someone you recognized. And she was right. I'd lost myself long before I lost Alex. Sometimes I still catch myself opening my phone out of habit, expecting that little notification bubble. But there's nothing there now. Just silence. It's strange how silence feels heavier when it's deserved. One night, months later, I saw Alex again by chance. He was sitting at a cafe downtown, laughing with someone, a woman. I almost walked over to say hello, to apologize again, but when I saw him smile, really smile, something inside me told me to let him go. He looked peaceful in a way he hadn't in years, and I realized then that the best apology I could give was to disappear quietly, to let him live free of the weight I'd put on him. I deleted the chat app that night, permanently. Sometimes I still replay the story in my head, how easily it started, how fast it spiraled, how my husband became a stranger just to prove I'd turned into one first. And the worst part? He didn't even have to catch me physically cheating. He caught me emotionally. And that's what broke us. I used to tell myself it wasn't real, that it was just talking. But it was real. It was more real than I ever wanted to admit. Because words have power, secrets have gravity, and once you start living a double life, the truth always finds a way to crash through. Now, when people ask me what happened to my marriage, I don't tell them the full story. I just say, we grew apart. But the truth? I grew into someone I couldn't face in the mirror. Because I didn't lose Alex to another woman. I lost him to me. To the version of myself who stopped showing up, stopped loving, stopped being honest. The woman who thought she could live two lives and ended up with none.